Welcome back to the 92 Automotive YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for your support so far. Really appreciate it. It's been fantastic. So today I'm actually bringing you something that, as you can see, is not a Volkswagen Golf. So this is a 1998 Yamaha TRX 850. It's owned by a lovely chap, Mike, who I met at a Cars of the Cotswolds launch event in 2020, which feels like a lifetime ago. And we've actually been out tonight to do a bit of a photo shoot on it, and I'm going to share some of those photos with you in the video. We're going to have a look at the history. We'll have a chat with Mike about the bike itself, some of the specs, and really get into that. So let's get started and we'll bring Mike in. Everyone, please welcome Mike to the channel. Mike is bringing us his 1998 TRX, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the history and the specs of the bike. So tell us things, because I don't know anything about bikes. Like, my thing is cars, and
sure.
I only know older things and newer. I say newer, it's still, 20 odd years old. But yeah, tell us some more.
Yeah, well, I think by record there is only 400 were sent from Japan. So in 1995, I think Yamaha produced it and it was released in Japan, but it didn't come to the UK until 96. And then it only ran for production was until 2000. And that was it. So this red and black one in particular has a few modifications, nothing too crazy with the engine or anything, but it runs almost as it should from factory. It is a Yamaha R6 front and back suspension. The forks, the rear shock. I've put aftermarket exhausts on it, some smaller aftermarket indicators. Yeah, there's a few sort of personal touches just to make it, my own, including the belly pan, which is, well, I mean, it's seen as like a naked bike, like a cafe racer, but with this belly pan, it just kind of chops up the, yes, sorry, yeah, this bit of plastic stuck on there.
Like me and they don't know what things are.
Yeah, so, well, they call it either a belly pan, a fairing, or a bug guard. So yeah, to stop the, the sort of traffic on the engine. So
this is almost like your undertray.
Yes, undertray. They call it an undertray as well.
Okay,
so good. Just to confuse everyone.
Okay, no, perfect. And these are the indicators here. These little things.
Yeah, those are the indicators. Originally, they're quite large, and although I do quite like the factory stock look, they were just a little on the large side. Because they're European specs, so they're quite chunky. So.
Okay, yeah, no, they look fantastic, and they match with the red and black theme as well. So
yeah.
So tell us more about the custom exhaust. So is this an Evo system? Is that
yes, this is a UK-made Blue Flame Evo. The exhaust is pretty loud, but then I love the sound of a twin. It is a 849cc parallel twin, 270 crank. Gives it a lovely noise. It was to rival the Ducati of about the similar era, I think. That's why Yamaha developed this trellis frame, which is not very common on Japanese bikes, that mass-produced Japanese bikes, because that's quite expensive to produce itself.
Okay.
So I think that's probably why there was a limited run of how many they built. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So do you do the maintenance on this, or do you have someone that helps you?
Yeah, I mainly do the maintenance myself. I've never done engine rebuilds or anything like that. Thankfully, this hasn't had to have that. But everything from, oil changes, valve clearances, things like that. All the basics, plugs, oil, filter, the usual.
You can do on a car, you can pretty much do on this.
Yes, yeah.
And the fuel tank, I mean, we talked earlier, it's quite small.
Yeah, you wouldn't get... Yeah, it wouldn't be easy to go around Europe on this. I think they call it, it is like a modern cafe racer. So it's kind of like styled on, that semi-naked, trucking through the B roads, the A roads, whatever. But for longer trips, yeah, it would start to get a bit tiresome filling up all the time. You could only put in, I don't know, £15 worth.
Oh,
so yeah. Yeah.
And that's on the expensive amount of fuel that we're paying at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's but still, fairly cheap to run. The MPG is, it's not bad, but
what is it?
It depends how I ride.
If you're sensible.
If I'm sensible, yeah, you're looking at, I don't know, it's going to be plus 30.
Okay, so it's actually not that bad at all.
Yeah, no,
it's over 30. And then if you mess around.
I'm not sure actually. Yeah, I mean, I don't have nothing to indicate whether you're going, efficiently or whether you're making good progress. It's you know, it's just
it's a very simple dial. It's your speed.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
But I mean, I know I can get close to 100. It's like 100 miles out of that tank. So when that comes up on the clocks, then yeah, it's time to fill up.
So once it tells you, that's it, fill up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. No, that makes total sense. In terms of the horsepower,
so it's a little under 80. Well, yeah, so I think it's on paper it's 79 horses, which really isn't a lot. The bike I had before this that got me into twins was it was a 2001 Suzuki TLR. Yeah, it was 1000cc. So it was a TL 1000R, and for a sports bike, it was an absolute weapon. I think, you know, by today's standards, horsepower-wise, it was like 135. You know, it really isn't that much on the back wheel. And when I read this on paper, I thought, wow, it's probably going to feel quite underwhelming. But actually, for what you use it for on the road, you know, it could easily do triple figures on a private road or
on a track.
Yeah, on a track.
Definitely
Yeah, that's where
on the Nürburgring.
Yep, that's where we do the speed. So
fantastic. So for its weight then, so obviously if it's only got 79 horses on paper, it doesn't weigh a lot, because you've been pushing this around all evening while we've been taking photos, so it can't be too heavy.
I think it's all down to low centre of gravity with these. So I think with you know, especially like the big Harleys and stuff, the engines and some of the larger mechanicals, they sit quite low to the floor. So you know, the lower it is it's quite deceptive, because once it starts to go, you're going to lose it. I mean, this, as you know, it's on a very small amount of rubber, front and back. So if you're wheeling it around, it's fine up until a certain point. If you go over a certain tipping point, there's no way I could hold it, because it is. It's over 1,000 kilograms. I'm pretty sure. So,
so I've been on one Harley on a dyno, and that was very wide and very heavy. So it's probably the complete opposite of this.
Yeah. It's a completely different riding style, completely. So.
Talking earlier when we were doing some photos that you've changed the heads-up display in
the cockpit looks a little different to the original, because the original was they were fully analog, and there was 3 clocks. I think there was RPM, the speedo, and then perhaps temperature, and now it's been compacted into one sort of heads up. So there's still an analog speedo, but the rest of it is you know, digital, so you can cycle through lap times, this kind of thing. Not that I do many track days with it. It does kind of make the cockpit look quite sparse, so then I put craftily zip tied a phone holder into the dash, so I can, you know, so I don't have to keep stopping and looking at a map.
Really cool thing is that phone holder's actually got a picture of the bike in it. Which is brilliant. Just in
case I forget.
And then you said something about the undertray at the back?
Yeah, so as well as, so aesthetically there isn't really much that different with this to the factory. We were talking earlier and you said, what was it, Factory Plus?
OEM Plus.
OEM Plus, sorry, I keep forgetting this statement. And that's what I kind of go for, so there's subtle changes with this bike which just make it very much my own. It's taken me a while to get it where it is. So yeah, as well as the undertray or bug guard, whatever you wanted to call that there, the rear end has been tidied up with this undertray. The original factory one, just I think because of like when it comes over to the EU, they need a certain size number plate, indicators, and it's just, to me, it looks quite ugly on the back end. So I've changed it to this aftermarket one, and it just means that you've got like a, you know, a different side profile, which I think is, you know, it looks better now.
And also it's less likely to melt on the
exhaust. Although I have melted something on there recently. I'm not sure what that is. It's probably my trousers or something.
Oh, brilliant. So you've had this bike a while?
Yeah, so it's coming on for, I'm going to say 6 years now.
A little bit, sorry.
Yeah, no, this to me is kind of everything that I need. It's got a relatively low seat height. My wife can sit on the back. She's not too, you know, she's not too picky with the bikes. But the TL was impossible. It was just like a small pad of, you know, rubber on the back, and it was just horrendous to sit on. I would never go on the back of, well, any bike really, but especially something with a high seat on the back.
So we met in 2020 at the Cars of the Cotswolds event, which was their launch event, and you were there with your business, Automotive Car Care, and you were in a 300ZX, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously that was 3 years ago. I assume you still got it?
Yeah, no, she's still around.
Still around, fab. And you're on a bike today, so you're clearly a petrol head and you're clearly a biker. So which one do you prefer, bikes or cars?
Yeah, that's not impossible. I get two different things from each, I'd say. It's been 25 years on bikes, probably about 15 years with cars, and I've only ever driven and owned older cars because I found that I could work on them because of what I knew with the bikes. So I've been on bikes since I was 16, and yeah, I just, I did my own maintenance, did like my own work, what I could. I used to strip them down, spray them, different colours, different sort of accessories and things. So I was quite mechanically minded, and I think when I got into the cars, it just things started making sense, like I popped the bonnet, started working on my own car. So I had like a cheap 80s Scirocco, and then went on to BMWs, and Volkswagen was, one of my favourites.
We love Volkswagens here.
I can tell. Yeah, no, they are really cool cars, and it was just nice to have something that was reliable. I could turn the key. I always knew it was going to be there, on cold nights, warm days, whatever it was. Yeah, this bike, honestly, for me is probably, I'll never sell this bike. This is it. And with the 300ZX, I'm never going to sell that either. That'll probably be passed down to my son, or whatever comes next. I'm not sure. So yeah, it's both passions of mine. I can't say which one I prefer. I mean, I do now. I'm a fair weather rider now. I used to ride through everything, but my old bones have just kind of said no more winters.
It's too cold.
Yeah, it's
way
brutal
too cold
out there. So.
No, that's fair, that's fair. So you want your son to be a biker too? Or does that terrify you?
That's a very good question, actually. Yeah, he's not even here yet. So no, I've got to make a decision at some point.
You've got to start them young.
Yeah, well, I want him to be good with balance, and safe on his feet. So if he's, if I find he's got two left feet, then yeah, maybe not. Maybe you can stick to a moped. Yeah, bikes are, for me, I think like people are either like naturally suited for them, or they struggle to sort of get their head around it. Cars are obviously like you're boxed in, they call them cages for a reason, because you feel like you're safe at all points, but I think people switch off, and it's those kinds of people. You don't want people switching off when you're on a bike. So yeah. No,
it's very difficult, isn't it? And you see all the campaigns, think bike and all of that as well. So at least there's somebody out there that's trying to look after you.
Yeah, anything that's a crossover, I think, helps. So if you're a biker and car driver, I think that's it's gonna be a positive thing.
Yeah, fab. So is it just the bike and the 300ZX, or have you got other things?
I've got a step-through moped. I've got a C90 because a couple of my friends have got into bikes, and they're sort of coming up through the ranks, and they're starting off small, and they're probably going to end up on bigger bikes. But for now, we sort of cruise about as a little moped gang, as we used to do, 25 almost 30 years ago, which is terrible to think about now. But yeah, so at the moment it's just the three vehicles, and my van for the business,
and the work van.
So, yeah,
the work van's comfortable though,
which is a diesel. I hate to add, but for my sins,
there's nothing wrong with a diesel. I've got one too, and a petrol, so it's not too bad. But lovely. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about the business. Obviously, it's Automotive Car Care. So you're a detailer. Yeah,
I am now. It was almost 20 years as an engineer, mechanical, qualified for 15 years, working on CAD basically. But I had enough of the office environment. It was just like too stale, too stagnant. So I felt like I needed to do something with my passions more than my just working life. Like it was a career. I was comfy, whatever. But I took a leap 3 years ago and pursued what I had been doing in my spare time, which has been, I guess, I didn't even call it detailing then. I just called it looking after my car. I'd present my car to either someone buying it, or I'd go to a show or whatever. But now I've kind of taken it one step further, obviously, and started my own business. So yeah, Automotive Car Care is, it was intended originally between me and the guy who trained me. It was going to be a franchise thing, hence why it was quite a broad term in terms of the business name. but that never happened because COVID hit and all the plans went to pot. So
yeah, things did change over COVID. And just to add, the links for Automotive Car Care are in the description as well for the Instagram and the Facebook accounts, and also a YouTube channel. You said you've got YouTube for it?
Yeah, we've been running a series, it's like a retro synthwave 80s inspired classic car show on YouTube called NRW Motors. That's New Retro Wave Motors. So I ended up having free reign to use the cool synthwave tunes from the label, and we've kind of created like our own niche series. So yeah, we'll put a link up and
that's fantastic. Yeah, I'll definitely put that one in there. You guys really want to check it out. It is brilliant. I remember watching a few of them when we first met and thinking I absolutely loved it. So it's really worth checking those out. So all that's left to do is say a big thanks to Mike for bringing his beautiful Yamaha TRX onto the channel with us. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope you'll join us on the next video. Between then, please do what every YouTuber asks you to do, like, comment, share, subscribe, and all of those things. And I will see you on the next video, and hopefully I've got some really cool cars for you coming up. I'll see you soon.